The Planet Sport Rugby Podcast.
Hello, Lynn Flint here, and this is the Planet Sport Rugby Podcast, where we're all about African rugby for this series, as we talk to some of the biggest talents from across the continent. We entertain some serious rugby talent on this show, and ultimately we want to get your questions answered. Now, today I'm joined by a South African, a Blitzbok, and a top guy, Soyizwapi, aka Shakes Soyizwapi. Time to get your game face on, mate. How are things your end?
All good, Liam. Good to hear from you again. It's been a while. And thanks for having me on your podcast.
Absolute privilege as always. Are you looking forward to this? Have you done much of the podcasting scene as you're jetting around?
Sure. This is actually my first one. I've been on radio. I've gone on live radio, sat on live television as well. But this is actually my first podcast.
The podcast debut. Okay.
I guess there's a debut for everything.
No pressure then. Well, this will be a walk in the park compared to TV or live appearances.
I hope so.
And we promise to go easy on you then. I've got to start. Shakes, why do people call you that? Why is your nickname Shakes in the first place?
A bit of a long story. Growing up, I used to love playing soccer, and my dad used to coach a soccer team. And always used to travel with him everywhere the team went. I would go with, and in our sneaky little fixtures and tours going around, my dad would get like the newspaper, and I don't know if you remember, or I'm sure, of course, you're old enough to know.
Hopefully,
I think you're older than me, so of course you would. The Super Strikers. There was a newspaper. It came with a little comic book called Super Strikers, and every time my dad got the paper, it used to come with that, and used to love the striker in Super Strikers, and yeah, the striker's name was Shakes. So the players of the team my dad coached sort of gave me the name and passed it on to me. So that's how it became Shakes.
I was wondering where you're going with that, whether you're actually going to say what his name was. Is that what everyone calls you now?
Yeah, most people, but my manager here at the Sevens insists on calling me Soyizwapi. He's adamant about it.
Yeah, for your work-life balance, I get that. That makes sense.
I guess, yeah.
Okay, well, we've got a bit of a packed podcast today. Just so people know where we're headed, we're going to talk about the Blitzbok. We'll analyse the Sevens game a little bit, touch on South African rugby in relation to the rest of the continent. It'd be awesome to get your views on that. And also, we're going to play our this or that game, bit of fun later on. But I think we need to ease you in. So if we were going to profile you, say I've just come across you now, what would be the best way for me to describe you? I mean, I'm thinking, as a player, I'm thinking wing, you've got some pace to burn, you love your sevens, bit of a sevens specialist. Is that the kind of profile that you would give yourself?
If you say on the field, then I love running with the ball a bit and getting into space. Hence, love the game of sevens so much. But yeah, off the field, I'm quite a boring guy.
Say it like it is,
Yeah, very boring guy. You like to stay indoors and do all the uncool stuff the world deems uncool. So yeah, that's me in a nutshell.
Hang on, what's uncool stuff? I think the rest of the world would want to know. What do you mean by this? Get specific.
I guess if you're someone who likes staying indoors on weekends, reading a bit, and just spending time with your family and your parents, I think at my age, people would want to be out of the house, not visit home or sitting on a couch and reading a book or out in nature reading a book. They'll probably think of something cooler in their own mind, maybe going out and enjoying themselves in whatever way they would.
But not you. You're happy with your book.
Yeah.
People need to have downtime. People need to relax. That's obviously your thing. I'm sure lots of people would be like, yeah, I completely understand that. I completely respect that. I think more people would lean to that than you realise.
Yeah, exactly. Actually, I have people who sort of compliment me in that, and some people who actually, as you say, understand.
Rugby sevens is your thing. And that's pretty much what takes up most of your time at the moment. So give us a bit of an update for you now. What's the rugby calendar looking like for you at the minute?
A bit of a less busier year than last year without the Commonwealth Games and the World Cup. But the World Series is on full stride again this year. Started in December, playing Dubai and Cape Town. Just came back from Hamilton and Sydney. It never stops, and just keep working hard. And I think as most people know, until May when the season ends.
I think Rugby Sevens is fascinating. It's really interesting. It's gaining momentum. It's getting more coverage worldwide. You've also got the Sevens World Cup, which you've alluded to last year. But it is all very recent, isn't it? So I'm guessing for a guy like you, when you were growing up 10, 15 years ago, did your rugby dream look very different back then? Because Sevens was completely different.
Much different. I think, as you say, it's only starting to get momentum now, and it's relatively new. I think growing up in South Africa, a lot of young aspiring rugby players would have had the dream of playing for the Springboks, and I remember myself growing up as well. I had a dream to play Super Rugby and eventually play Springbok 15. So, but I think life takes you in directions you never plan, and God always has a different plan for your life. So found myself in Stellies, and I really love the culture of the Springbok Sevens in particular, and really got to love the game and how much space it has, and the opportunities to just play with the ball, run into space, and the work ethics that involve the game as well. So I think coming here in 2016, that really that really changed my career path, if I can put it like that. And at the moment, I'm really happy to be here.
So would you say you are somewhat of a Sevens specialist, or do you still have, like you said, you had union ambitions growing up? Is that still the case now?
I think honestly, I do still have those dreams, and I wouldn't call myself a Sevens specialist. I think I enjoy the game, and I've learned how it works, and I think there's really been players in the same team that have come in and gone through the system that I would really call Sevens specialists, but I wouldn't really put that tag onto myself.
Too humble. That's your problem. In my books, if you're good at sevens and you can play and represent your country, you're allowed to say you're a specialist. Because there's lots of guys who aren't quick enough, aren't fit enough. There's loads of reasons. But hey, I'm not going to put words in your mouth. That's what you said. So we'll take that as answered. So tell us about that first call up. How did Sevens kind of enter your picture? Where did that first Blitzbok call up actually come from? Tell us about that.
In 2010, while I was still playing at school and representing the academy side, the border academy side, which is at under 18 level, I really had a good tournament in KZN when we played there, and the coach at the time, who then became my agent, really pushed that I should eventually play sevens, and he said that like the way I play the game and how he sees me, he thinks I would really do well in sevens, and he's the guy who actually really put the seed in my mind and sort of opened my eyes to the game. And 2013 was the very first time I met the seven system in South Africa, coming in as a how old was I in 2013?
Well, maths is clearly a strong point, so there's your plan B career.
Definitely not an accountant. I actually came in 2010, and just for a training camp. I think it was just for a weekend, and saw how the guys train and stuff like that, and actually got the privilege of joining one of the sessions. And 2013 was the first time I played in the academy, and come play some sevens here for the academy. That's where it all started really in 2013.
At the time, were you thinking, oh man, sevens? I wasn't thinking about this, but I'm going to go for it? Or was that something you were really hoping for and it just happened to pay off?
No, not at all. I think it was something I was hoping for. Because as I said, after that seed was planted back in 2010, my eyes were sort of facing towards that direction.
It's such a unique opportunity in so many ways. And if you just look at the events that the doors now open for you on those events, you've got Sevens World Cup, obviously, Commonwealth Games, which you spoke about last year. You've got the Olympics to aim for. These are serious world events, aren't they?
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's a huge privilege and an honor to be able to be part of this system and be in this team. Just being able to travel as well and be in places that you never thought you'd ever visit, and being able to play in those well-known great stadiums like Twickenham. So yeah, I think it's a huge privilege and an honor, and Sevens has given me that opportunity to play in World Cups, Commonwealth Games, and hopefully Olympic Games.
Yeah, that's it. Hopefully the Olympics. Are you confident? Yeah. Do you think you guys can get there?
Yeah, I think anything is possible in the game, and I really believe in the system that we have here. It's proved itself before, and it's all about working to make it work. So we'll just have to wait and see how Team South Africa does.
Very political answer there, not giving too much. You don't want to be overconfident, but he also doesn't want to shoot everyone down, knowing his teammates will be listening to this. And I mean, Shakes, for people who aren't aware, they might have been thinking, what on earth are you talking about? HSBC Sevens, what is this? For people who aren't aware of the circuit and how it works, you basically jet around, play in different cities around the world, accumulate points where you finish each time. It comes to a climax in Paris at the end of the year. It's kind of like Formula One in a way, isn't it? And that you just go around the circuit and then you get a winner right at the end. So it could go right down to the end of the season. Sounds like a lot of fun. Sounds like a lot of flights and a lot of hotels. I mean, how is that lifestyle? Is it just crazy? Do you get annoyed with it? Is it just amazing? Tell us about that.
And it's a lot of hard work, and your body takes a massive beating from it. But I think, as I said, it's a privilege to be able to do that. It's not a right, and I think everyone would have aspirations to visit other countries and get out of South Africa, just maybe to go on a holiday and see different countries. So we have the opportunity to do that, but knowing the system that I'm in, it's always work first, and but luckily we do have, as I said, that opportunity to sort of sightsee and be tourists as well.
Okay, let's get on the inside of things. Obviously, there's a lot of traveling, so that means there must be a lot of sitting around hotels, waiting in airports, lots of in-transit kind of stuff, I'm assuming.
Yeah.
So what do you do when that's like half your life? What do you do to pass the time if you're just sat waiting for ages? I'm assuming you're going to say read a book or something really exciting, but...
I guess this time I'm going to disappoint you. So the team has this card game we like to play, and that's one thing that sort of builds the camaraderie amongst the players. The guys enjoy it, and if we're sitting at the airport waiting for a flight, you'll just see the guys sort of bunched up together and playing cards.
Who would have thought it? Yeah, 12 of you like huddled around, all playing cards. Brilliant.
Sometimes the guys get over eager, then
Yeah, I bet they do. Competitive natures spill out, fights in the airport, all that kind of ugly stuff. Yeah.
Everyone wants to win in the team.
I suppose that's probably the secret to your success, because when you do get on the field as the Blitzbok, you're always a gun team. You're always going for the championship. It's normally you, Fiji are quite strong. You always seem to be in the running to win the whole thing. So what would you say is the key to just the consistency that you guys as a squad seem to have, the closeness you have, and the fact that you just seem to churn out results?
I think, as I mentioned, how the system sort of has proved itself in the past. I think a huge contributing factor to it to the success was like the culture of the team and what the team stands for, the standards that are put in place in the team, how we carry and conduct ourselves off the field and on the field. I think those that identity that the team has sort of, I would say, contributed immensely to how the team functions.
So when you look at South African rugby, it's clearly, in terms of the level and the competition that you guys play at, compared to other nations in the continent, South Africa is a step above in terms of what it can achieve, the infrastructure, just the sheer quality of players. As a player yourself in that system, do you feel a bit of a disconnect between South Africa to then the other teams, and actually there's a massive gap there?
I think as especially speaking about our team, I think we always try to sort of focus on what we try to do on the field, and and also what we're trying to achieve, what we're trying to implement on the field. So sometimes you get so focused on what you have to do, you don't sort of look around. But I think from the outside, people would say that there's less competitive nations and countries, but I think especially on the sevens game now, it's almost even, and every game is tough. Every country comes firing against you. So yeah, it's a very competitive sport in general.
But then if you're looking at the picture as like a continent picture, do you think more could be done to make it a more even playing field, so that when you have Africa Cup, for example, or Gold Cup, things like that, do you think we could close the gap and things could be done? Or do you think that is just how it is, and actually that's okay, that there is such a difference in the level of sport?
Yeah, I think we are quite fortunate in South Africa that there's a lot of investments towards the game and a lot of people who show interest to the game. I think South Africa in general is such a rugby-loving country, and that's a blessing we have, and that's sort of the small advantage that it gives us as a nation. So I think talking about other African countries as well, they would also love to be at a certain level, and I think it would only be fair as well for them. So I guess I wouldn't say it's right, but I think with a lot of hard work and a lot of investment in those countries and investment in resources and stuff like that, I think that would also make a difference in the level of competition within the country and in the teams all around.
Because I suppose on your circuit, there's the other African nations we're talking about. You've got Kenya, who are very good and up there. You've also got the Uganders. I mean, those fixtures must feel special in that they bring a lot of people together. They unite a lot of people across Africa, and to have those more often and on a more, level playing field, that would be great for the game in the continent, wouldn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. I think even at the moment, like in other countries, regardless of the results they bring as well, I think sometimes when we play Kenya on the circuit, like there's a lot of Kenyan supporters and people going out there to support Kenya. And I think the more the sport grows in the African countries, then the more interesting it would be for the whole continent, and the competition and the growth within the continent and the growth of the sport would also increase as well, I think.
And for you, Shakes, do you have like an ultimate dream or ambition that you really want to nail in the game of sevens before you reach the end of your career one day? Have you set really specific targets?
Yeah, I think I would love to play in the Olympic Games. I think being in the system and having to see the sport introduced in the Olympics and missing out in 2016, I think I'd love to get an opportunity to be able to play in the Olympic Games. But at the moment, I'm really enjoying the team culture. I'm enjoying the game and our style of play and the opportunities on the field. And as I said, I enjoy running with the ball in hand into space and sort of working hard with your teammates. So, I think at the moment that's where I am, and hopefully I can achieve those goals and dreams.
And you can speak from experience in this. Is there a different feel when you play against guys on the Sevens circuit, when you're at a Commonwealth Games or a Sevens Rugby World Cup? Does that feel different than when you're just playing in the HSBC Sevens week in, week out? Because it's the same team and the same players, but I suppose just the event is so different. Do you feel that even when you're playing?
Yeah, I think the way they try to sort of dress up the tournament, if I can put it that way, that's the biggest thing above anything else. But it really does feel like just another tournament on the World 7 Series. Okay,
Shakes, let's change gear slightly. I'm looking at your Instagram at the minute, which that always gets that reaction. It's always like, oh no, what have I done? What have I put?
I wonder what problem is now.
No, I said I wouldn't shame you, so I'm keeping my word there. Looking at your bio, you put there that Jesus saved me. Is that one of the first points that you put about yourself? That if anyone comes across your page, that's what you want them to read, right? And why is that information worthy of going in your bio? What's the meaning behind that for you?
I think I put it there so that people can sort of know. It describes who I am and the kind of life I lead. So I think people who follow me, people who don't even follow me, anyone who sees it should have that impression of who I am. And hopefully if I get to meet that person, I can somehow impact that person's life in whatever way, because being saved by Jesus Christ is all about loving on people and just trying to lead a life that brings other people to salvation as well. So that's what it's all about, and hopefully I can achieve that by putting it up there.
What difference has knowing Jesus made to your everyday life? I mean, there's no point having faith in something if actually it doesn't change anything. So what for you is different now compared to if you were living your life playing your rugby without your faith?
Yeah, I think my life really took a drastic change, a sort of a U-turn from growing up to when I got saved in 2014. I think it's all about living for yourself before you get born again and before you get saved, and you sort of do what you feel like doing. You sort of get up to whatever you feel like at the moment, and sort of it's all about you. It's all about you, and as soon as you get saved, you realize that your life is not your own. You were born for a purpose, and the purpose of your life is to reach out to people and make a difference in their lives, love on them, as I said, and hopefully be able to get those people saved as well.
So if someone listening to this is hearing what you're saying and would want to find out more about that, or if someone came up to you in the street or on the circuit, what would you say? What can people actually do to start exploring that?
I think, first of all, what happens a lot is that people, including myself, you don't see yourself worthy to be saved because you feel like it's people living a perfect life, and people who are Christians and people who are saved are sort of perfect or act perfect, but it's actually not. It's not the picture at all. It's not the case, and it's people who are imperfect but live by God's grace. And the Bible says you just confess it with your mouth and believe it in your heart, and you're saved. So it's as easy as that.
It's time to open the floor up to listeners. I know people have been been queuing up, haven't they, Shakes, just to get a piece and to put their questions to you.
Yeah.
We've got a couple my end, and then I know you've got a few that people have asked you to share about on this pod as well. That'd be really good. Are you happy for me just to fire a couple at you and see if you can handle the heat?
I hope I can.
You're not allowed to disappoint. That's the one rule of being on this podcast. You got to give the people what they want. Okay, so Jeremiah in Uganda has reached out, and he simply would like to know what first inspired you to start playing rugby.
I think in primary school, I played rugby as an extramural activity. Believe it or not, I would just go to training and I was a lock at the time, age 8, 9 years. So just to show that I never really knew what would become of the game. So, but going to high school, Dale College in the Eastern Cape in King Williamstown, which is a rugby school, I saw how competitive the game can get and how passionate the school was and sort of people in the school. So triggered something within me as well. And I think when I started achieving in high school and being able to play for the first team and those kind of things sort of inspired me to sort of pursue a career in rugby.
Awesome. I think he'll be pleased with that. He's also been cheeky and he's sent in another question as well. He's mega keen. So I think we should reward that persistence. He would also like to know, and this really, I think, speaks out to him in his age group. What message do you have, or what advice would you have for junior rugby players around the world?
From my personal journey, I think I grew up being a person who never really had confidence in myself as a rugby player and as a person. So I think that attitude or that specific thing sort of caused me not to dream big. So I think if you still in school and would love to play the game, it's all about confidence and being confident in what you can do and sort of being bold enough to dream big and being able to have that confidence of waking up each and every day and pursuing those dreams.
Good advice, sound advice. It's hard, isn't it? When you have no time to prepare. It's literally just react and come up with something full of wisdom for so many people. Brandon, also been in touch. He's a fan of the Blitzboks and he's asking, Shakes, what is your favourite city to play in on the Sevens circuit?
Favorite city, Cape Town.
Oh, what a letdown.
I'm sorry, it's not in Twickenham in London.
That's so biased. Okay, if you can't play at home, where internationally do you love going on the calendar?
I enjoyed playing in Allianz Stadium in Sydney, but it got moved this year to Spotless. But I also enjoy playing in Singapore as well. I think it's a nice stadium and a great pitch.
That's good. Okay, I recovered that question. It was not well answered to start with. Okay, Shakes, I know you've got a few. If you just give us a couple.
So, at Megspar on Instagram,
nice.
Asked me a question. Question is, are you a Christian? And the answer is yes. He also asked, he's the one who asked 2 questions. So he also asked, is it easy to share your faith with your teammates or fans? So with my teammates, I think, as I said, we spend so much time together and do a lot of things. And they are around me most of the time. And they are the people that see the life I lead. So I think with fans are pretty distant a bit, but they're not like people you're comfortable with. But it wouldn't be an issue as well just to share my faith with someone I don't know.
Got some strong questions here. Okay, keep going. Who have we got?
So the next question is from at Anele Mnyengo. She asked me what advice I would give. Okay, let me read the question. What advice would you give your younger self?
Oh,
just believing, having faith. I think a lot of things happen in life. Your life changes as you grow up. So whatever life throws at you or at me as my younger self. Just to have the faith that things can turn out the way that God said it would. So because growing up, I knew my younger self used to be a doubting person, low in confidence, low self-esteem. So just having that faith, that's what I tell my younger self.
Very good. Yep. Under pressure, you've turned host, which is all good. You've done that. You fielded those well. Thank you so much to everyone who sent in their questions. I know we couldn't get to them all, but Shakes is a busy man. He's got to learn how to pronounce Instagram names as well and sort those handle pronunciations out. But we'll forgive him.
That means I definitely can't be a teacher.
So we've worked out that you're not very good at maths, and you're probably not very good at being a teacher.
Yeah, no accounting, no teaching.
It's a good job you're in rugby, really, isn't it?
Yeah.
Okay, on the topic of what you know, we like to just take a quick whistle-stop tour of world rugby news at the minute, anything that stands out. Just a couple of things I really wanted to get your opinion on. Obviously, 2019 Rugby World Cup is what everyone's talking about. The talk's been growing. Lots of people have had their predictions. Some big names have kind of waded in recently. So I wanted to ask you, Brian Habana recently came out with his, obviously a Springbok legend, and he said that he thinks the All Blacks are going to walk it. Not much risk attached to that. It's a pretty safe bet, isn't it? But I just wanted to know, Shakes, firstly, who you think will win the Rugby World Cup this year?
South Africa.
Okay, is that based on anything other than the fact that you're South African?
Number one, the fact that I'm South African.
Yeah, okay.
I think the team has been building nicely. I think the Springboks have gone through a bit of a dip like 3-4 years ago. And I just feel like the past year or two, they've sort of come out of that and started building as a team. And I think how the team is playing and the results that are coming through contribute to why I say that. I think last year was also a good year for them. And I think being able to beat the All Blacks, the number one team in the world last year, will also serve as a confidence booster going into the World Cup.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think Springboks will definitely be there or thereabouts for sure. It's such a lottery, isn't it? I mean, you'll remember well Japan beating the Springboks not so long ago.
Exactly.
So anything can happen, can't it?
Exactly.
That's the joy of the game. That's why we love it. Okay.
That's why we love it.
Shakes, we're going to finish with a bit of a game.
Ready to go.
This is going to expose you like nothing else. That'll be fine. It's called This or That. So all I'm going to do is give you two options, basically preferences, things you like. And I just want you to answer as quick as you can and basically say which one of these you prefer. Okay, this or that with Shakes. Tea or coffee?
Coffee. I started enjoying coffee when I joined the Sevens, but I have a lot of tea, and I also have a tea that I start my day with.
I was going to say tea's perfect for you. Sitting at home at the weekend, bit of a book, hanging out with your parents. Tea would be great, but that's fine. Okay, Johannesburg or Cape Town?
Cape Town.
Why Cape Town?
I love scenery and I love the outdoors, and Cape Town is very beautiful.
Yeah.
And compared to the hustle and bustle of Joburg.
Okay, are you a routine kind of guy, or do you like to go with the flow?
Routine.
So if someone messes with your routine, are they going to pay for that, or are you can handle a bit of a messy life?
They won't pay for it, but I really try to stick to what I plan. It helps you plan better. It helps you be more efficient and stuff like that. So that's why I'm a routine guy.
Yeah, you defended yourself well there. I'll take that. Okay, are you a saver of money or a spender?
I
think I know what's coming.
I think I'm a bit of both, to be honest.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm a bit of both, but I'll go saving too much.
Yeah, I don't know why, but I had you down 100% a nailed on saver. You seem like a very safe kind of guy. You like your routines. You like to just, be reserved, shopaholic kind of thing. But hey.
No, no. But if I like something, I go for it. That's why I'm sort of confused a bit.
Okay, an easy one for you. Ketchup or mayo?
Ketchup.
Blitzbox or Springboks?
In terms of?
In terms of your favourite. You're basically choosing between your Sevens team or the Springboks team.
Blitzbok.
Okay, I suppose you had to say that, really, didn't you? I backed you into a corner. Okay, Xbox or PlayStation?
PlayStation.
Okay, what's your go-to game on the PlayStation?
NBA 2K19.
Yeah, you're a big basketball fan, aren't you?
Recently.
Okay, that leads very nicely onto this question. If you could make it in the NBA or you could make it in the NFL, which career path would you choose?
I think NFL, similar to rugby.
I was good. That's why I put it in. I knew you loved basketball, but I thought he's a rugby player, so NFL would be an easy switch for you. People do that all the time.
Yeah, I can't imagine trying to dunk over some of the talents of the NBA game.
Yeah, you might struggle.
Yeah.
But NFL, you'd be fine. Just pace, give me the ball. And the money as well. You'd be making some serious cash.
Saving it all.
Putting it all in a trust fund. That's what we like. Okay. Right. Well, Shakes, you survived. Thank you so much for playing that. It's always good fun. It's been a pleasure. We want to hear more about your addiction to coffee. There's so much that we can talk about. So we'll have to do this again.
Yeah, no, for sure. I'd love to do it again.
The Planet Sport Rugby Podcast.
Okay, that's us for episode 3 of this All Africa series. A massive thanks again to Shakes Soyizwapi. Do keep us up to date with our social media across Facebook, Twitter and Instagram at PS Rugby Podcast. We also want you to join our WhatsApp community where you can keep updated with upcoming episodes, and even more importantly, as you've seen today, you can send in your questions for our rugby guests to answer live on the show. So do drop us a WhatsApp message at +44 7707 776 790. That's +44 7707 776 790 with your name and where you are in the world. Do join us for our next episode, where again we'll be getting to know one of Africa's best in the world of rugby. And if you want to listen to this again, anything that Shakes and I have been talking about, you can do on iTunes, or alternatively, go straight to our website, which is planetsport.tv. And on there, you'll also find our 2 other shows, Planet Sport, which is for the all-round sports fan, and Planet Sport Football Africa, which is as it sounds. So go check them out. But until next time, I'm Liam Flint, and you've been listening to the Planet Sport Rugby Podcast.